All right, great. And our show is live here on YouTube. So, welcome to all of our YouTube streamers out there who are watching our show. I'm Ernesto, everybody. Sorry, you guys, we've been off for the past little bit here. Just got some scheduling conflicts, other exciting things that are coming up for me and Veretta here. So, we're going to be doing some schedule changes. We're still going to stay on Sunday mornings, but we're talking about maybe doing like a Saturday afternoon at like 3 p.m. for an hour. That'll be a new show that we're going to start offering, and then we may even do like some midweek stuff. So, we'll let you know about any changes there, but it's very exciting to be back with you guys in the studio today. Today is the 7th. It is Sunday at 9:30, and we are here live on Blog Talk Radio for our Uranus Happens Show, giving away our free live psychic and Uranian astrology readings here. So, Veretta, are you on the line with me today?
I am here.
Perfect. Now, what kinds of metaphysical things do we need to know about for this week ahead that's coming up?
Okay. What are we doing this week? Not a lot of change with the previous weekdays. Weeknights, however, may be different. And this week may be very, I want to say explosive, but like explosive productive. I guess I would have to put those two words together, and you come up with what the result of that would be. It feels like the nights are going to be packed with energy this next week.
Okay, all right. It's good. That's great to hear. Now, just to speak to that, you said like explosive creative energy. Let's look at that for a second on the
Yeah.
chart. So if you look at this third chart
Yeah.
ring, that's out in the sky right now. This is this planet that I'm going to be highlighting here with the black box. This is Zeus. So this is a planet. This is like the god of war, very simply from like a mythological perspective. We don't really use a lot of those applications in Uranian astrology, but what I will say is that the keyword norm for Zeus that we would use is going to be inspiration, creativity, energy. Like these are all powerful, words that we use to describe this, and this is happening right there in relation to that arrow there on the left here. So because this is that Zeus is here on this arrow, that means that this is happening out in the world. So this is a major theme that's affecting every single person on the planet right now, is that everybody's being really stupid, crazy, busy, and just getting things done. So that's where that's coming from. Now when we combine Zeus with other planets, say for example like Mars or Hades or Uranus or any other things that are on the axis point, we can combine this to see things like war. We can see other things, like
Oh,
shootings.
well.
That's another thing that's very difficult. So this could be, potentially a week of a lot of shootings that we're going to come up with here. That'll be something that'll be a lot more in the news. Gun control. That's another Zeus related issue. So that's all happening out in the world, and we don't even really have to move the dial, and we can see that. So if you're picking up on that, that's really what's happening in the sky right now. So, and
That would
that's
be.
it's that planet takes over 400 years to orbit the sun, so that we're going to be under this influence for a while. That's very safe to say. Absolutely. Absolutely. But what I do want to mention, though, is that while that planet does move so slow, everybody's going to be under that influence. But, it's not the gloom and doom that you think it is. A lot of it is going to be determined by your own personal choices that, I'm choosing to do the right thing here, as opposed to I'm letting my anger get the best of me, and then I'm going to go out and cause something tragic to happen. So, there's like that
Yeah.
free will, that we have, that we can choose to do something with our emotions or not. Like for me this past week, I have really struggled with like trying to just figure out what I want to do with my life. And like is the plan, that the life plan that I have created for myself in my lifestyle choices, is that sustainable for what it is over the long term? And if it's not, how can I fix this to make it more sustainable so it's not so painful and, just sort of like crappy, because I've done all of these things to hurt myself and now I have to fix them because I'm forced to. It's really unfortunate when
Hmm.
we put something off so long until it becomes a problem and then we have to fix it. And then when we do, that process is
So,
very uncomfortable.
yes, and you're bringing up a perfect point. People don't realize that the choices they make now, even though they may have lived through whatever event they caused themselves harm, down the line, they're going to have to reap what they sow even then. So it isn't just a oops, I made a mistake right now. Well, I'll pay the mistake, I'll pay the price, and then I'll move forward. It's you better hope to God that doesn't come back and bite you in the ass later, because that one is going to leave a mark. That one's going to impact you enough that somewhere down the road you're going to feel that. You're going to feel that as a result of what you've just done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
it's
people
kind.
are a little more complicated about it. I think maybe they, right?
Yeah, I agree. It's sort of like with young people. This happens quite often. Is that people have struggle when they're young and just kind of starting out in a new relationships and kind of figuring out what it's like to interact with people, and you realize, oh, so I have to get to know you in the real world out in public, really. Like I can't just hang out with you in my bedroom with all of our clothes off for all of eternity. Like that's not okay. Like it eventually creates a problem to where, like you have intimacy issues with people to where you can't sustain healthy friendships with boundaries because you think that there's like this sex magic element that sort of dominates everything, and that gets very complicated because then it's like you follow this course of actions and then you're unable to give it up, and when you actually want to try to do something right for yourself, you really can't because you don't have that skill set. So I'm sure people have written a million TV shows about this whole concept, but like that's a great example of something where you let it slide and it doesn't seem like it's that much of a problem, but then it really does balloon into something that you regret, like smoking. Like you don't develop lung cancer or emphysema overnight. Like you were a 3-pack a day smoker for a while before you got some problems with your doctor.
Exactly. Exactly.
So we
And
are
you didn't
going.
heed the yeah, you didn't heed the warnings of coughing and shortness of breath and getting lightheaded. You didn't listen to any of that. So you just kept smoking.
Yep. Like I had a retinal tear surgery recently, and I was after when I was recovering from it, I thought I was still smoking at the time, and something just kind of tapped me on the shoulder and said, maybe you should think twice about doing this. Maybe this is the reason why, like you're getting headaches. What happens? Let's challenge our thoughts for a second. What happens if you give this vice up and you try things on the other side of the fence for a while? What do you think that's going to look like? That's a really scary conversation to have with somebody who's doing like some, like pretty egotistical types of self destruction. So that's where you
Right.
have to get into that conversation. Well, I hear what you're saying, but I'm not sure I entirely agree. But I do want to pay attention though, because I know what happens if I don't pay attention, that things are going to get a lot worse. So let me do a trial here for like
Mm-hmm.
60, 90 days. Let's try and give this thing up and let's just see how it goes and we'll talk about it again then. And then what I found out was I felt so much better. I was really surprised that, feeling was truly believing, and that was just what sold it to me. And I thought, okay, so I don't need to do this anymore, and I'm fine without it.
Good for you. Good for you. Well, just know that it gets harder every time you go back. Anytime you decide, well, screw it, it didn't hurt, that, whatever. All the reasons you give yourself to relapse. It gets harder each time you try to stop anything because your willpower, unless you have, got a kick butt system of redefining yourself and shaping your ego up and not in a overly sensitive roar look at me kind of way, but making it comply with the fact that it's got to get along with you and the rest of life, then you're all right. You've got the ability to do anything you can with any kind of addiction. But when you've got so much vice hooked to you, you can't stop for even that 30, 60, or 90 days, then you're not willing to admit there's a problem enough to seek help. You got to seek help on that.
And a lot of it is just picking
But when
yourself up
you,
when you're starting to fall.
yeah, and when you really finally do it like you have done, and you look back and you go, yep, yep, that caused this, and that, and this, and that, and yeah, I'm feeling a lot better without. I'm not going back. That gives you motivation to keep on going. Not all by itself. But when you don't have the motivation, then it's difficult for you to actualize what would be common sense to most everybody else.
That is for sure, yeah. So, I
Okay.
mean, it's sort of like, we could even have this conversation about food addiction, weight loss, any of those types of issues that are less troubling to
But
most people. Like, we can apply that on all levels.
yeah, because it can justify so many reasons why it's okay. Well, I'll eat a little more tomorrow. Well, I'll drink a little less tomorrow. Well, I'll abstain, from da 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 for the next 24 days or something. But go right back to it, and it's an addiction. And whether you have a personality disorder or not, right along with it, whether it's a personality, uh, uh, um, addiction personality trait, um, the fact is it's still something you have to learn to overcome. If you went into it to start with and got addicted and can't get out, then you obviously don't have the tools to get out. You need to go learn how to, and that's okay. That's okay. That's not something that you should lower your head about and be ashamed to try to overcome. It's worse to try to hang on to that belief that you have to have help, or if you have to have help, you're weak, than it is to just try to step up and say, hey, you know what, here's the deal, I'm not, I don't walk on water where this item is concerned. Can you help me out?
And also, don't
And
forget,
call it all.
yeah, celebrate the victories, and everything is baby steps in the beginning. That if that's all you can take, then then be happy with that. It's not so polarized in black and white. Like just being able to do anything when you're learning how to walk, that's a big
Yeah,
deal. So, like don't minimize or discount that information or action at all, because you're still making an effort to try. You may not be doing a great job of it, but at least you're doing something, which is a hell of a lot than what you were doing last week. That's for damn sure.
yep. Keep moving forward, like you said, even if it's one baby step at a time.
Yeah. So,
Forward, forward.
on that note, let's get off to our phone lines here. We're gonna get off to Becky, who is an all one here in our system. Becky, are you there on the line with us?
I am here.
Great. May I have your date of birth, please?
My birthday is 3/30/65,
And at what time were you born?
5:27 a.m.,
And where were you born?
Los Angeles,
Perfect. Got it.
Granada Hills.
And do you, Becky? Do you have a? Would you like a general reading, or do you have a? Do you have a question about an issue today?
So I do have somebody in my life who is very dear to me, and I want to know where that stands for this coming week. Actually, through the end of the month.
Okay. All right. And do you? What is their name? Just so Veretta can have that.
His name is Sean Scott.
Okay. All right. Great. Perfect. So Veretta, go ahead. I'll take a look for this one here myself.
Okay. All right, Sean, what are you doing today? Okay, and you said for the rest of the month, right?
I have two Pacific dates, the 13th and the 29th.
Okay. Where are we at? We're on the what today? The 7th? The 6th?
Yes. Today's the 7th.
7th? Okay. 13, 7, 8. And okay, well, I can tell you 9 and 10, something starts to really amp up for him. He seems to be, including high blood pressure, he's energized to get things done. He's, I would almost say, mad enough to get things done. And 11, 12, 11, 12 is like cold silence, nothing. So it's not great. And on the 13th, I imagine 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 roll together. So whatever that is to come on the 13th, whatever gets started, it rattles on for the next 3 days. '18th and the 15th, 16th, 17th is gone so quiet again, or barely talking, only because somebody has to. There's a need in a way that there's a communication, so where everybody's involved. So they are talking, but only if necessary. And I think the 18th, things low. I'm not sure why, but it feels like there's a cataclysmic energy that just blows the top off. Like there's an opportunity to clear the air at the top of our lungs, and everybody is either in earshot or can hear, is aware of what's taking place.
And that includes me?
No, that's just there under the roof of who's in his house. But I think that is just within, okay, yeah, they said within earshot. So no, that does not include you. Within earshot. So they have it out and clear the air about, I guess they just, everybody bears their will. Guess what? This is what I don't like. Let's 10, 19, 18, 19 is odd. Like everybody's awkward around each other. 19, 20, 21. It just went black. It went gray. It's like there's no, I can't see, I can't feel. There's a big wall right there at 21. I can't go any farther than that. What day of the week does that fall on?
The 21st, on a Sunday.
Yeah. It goes quiet right there. All right.
So with that being said, that generally means the weight is going to be tremendous on me, but the ball's rolling.
Yes. Now, let's hear what Ernesto has to say, because he may be able to be a lot more pinpoint in the action.
Yeah, Becky, I'm sort of wondering, is this guy well? Is he healthy?
No, he's not.
Yeah, because like I'm looking at his chart here and I'm looking at your chart, I'm sorry, and I'm taking a look and I'm sort of wondering if you see where that big green dot is on the screen if you're watching our YouTube cast, you can see that comes in contact with some pink circles that are on your chart. So all those pink circles just refer to you and, you know, some major energies that are being touched on and affected right now. So when I'm looking at this, that green dot specifically is the midpoint of all three of the suns that you see on the screen there. So you've got three different planets with the energy. And remember that this could affect you or this could affect somebody else depending on the chart. Because we're asking the chart about a relationship issue, we're trying to, you know, see how do all relationships look in your life right now? Like, what does that look like? So I used the date of the 29th. The 13th, I wasn't picking anything up so much, but the 29th, I'm really looking here at this one. You see you've got that big dot for the green suns, that they all line up right there with those other two pink circles. This really makes me wonder if like this guy is going to be hospitalized, you know, if he would have like a heart attack or a stroke or some other type of cardiovascular, you know, like accident. It just looks like that, you know, that as far as this guy's concerned, that there's some health issues that are going to be forced to be addressed because they've been put off for a little bit too long. And I think that's, I don't know what you had in your mind as far as asking the question was concerned about this guy. But from what I can tell, in your chart that, yeah, he's just not well. And like, this is going to turn out to be difficult and distressing for you particularly because, it's almost like you're going to be taking on like a caretaker role. Like he doesn't have anybody else there, to help him out. So that's going to be you. And I'm just going to let you know now, don't fight it. Don't resist it. Like there might be some second thoughts, or like maybe these other people could do it better. No, you're gonna do it, and you're gonna love it too. You're absolutely going to love this. But that's the big thing that I pick up here, and it's almost gonna feel like that you're taking care of a spouse or a marriage partner. It's really gonna help to solidify your relationship and bring you guys closer. But I feel like that you personally, Becky, that you're gonna be doing some stuff that is gonna have to do with his health, and helping him to recover from something that was relatively difficult. That looks like that'll come about towards the end of the month, about that 29th date you were thinking. So that's what I can pick up in the chart here. Veretta, did you have something else you wanted to add, or was that in alignment sort of with what you were picking up?
I think that's much better than I could have articulated whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure if we were a fly on the wall, we would see Becky doing a freaking happy dance that you cannot believe. So, having that been said, yeah, you're very accurate, Ernesto, in what I know about Becky and what's going on and her situation. However, hear him when he says to you, you're going to be the caretaker, Becky, and that does not, don't be deceived. That does not mean two things. So get your brain out of the hyper thinking mode. What does that mean? What does that mean? No, it's not going to be pushing him around in a wheelchair unless he just flat out refuses to take care of himself. But yes, he is going to need your kind of care to that degree for a little bit initially. And also, no, you're not going to stick him in a home if he gets to the point to where he won't agree with you on what he wants to do for treatment, because you're the caretaker. You just heard enough, though. You're the one that's going to take care of him. So you're going to have to figure out how to work and get along with him right off the bat. Right off the bat, to that degree.
Yeah, and he's going to be a bastard about it. He's going to put up a fight. He's not going to want to do this, but you're just going to have to, you're just going to have to come in and, lay down the land and say, okay, so these are the boundaries, these are the rules, let's get this all out of the way right now, because I'm not going anywhere. And the only way that this is going to work is if it works for both of us. So let's establish those rules right now. Like, that's something that you're going to do at the very beginning. And and it won't take a whole lot, like you won't even do this on your own. Like, you won't be, awkward or creepy. You can just say, like, hey, I know you're a bastard, so let's set some rules right now. Like, you're not going to do that. He's going to do something that's going to trigger it to say, okay, so maybe we do have to have that conversation after all. And it's, and don't read into this of where I'm going with this, or, how this would manifest or what it's going to mean. It literally just means that something will happen in your environment with this guy that it's going to make you realize, okay, so we need to set these boundaries and establish them right now, or else everybody's going to go crazy and we're going to kill each other at the end of this week.
And if there is a major medical something, he will survive it, though. Will it be rough for him?
This is going to be a pretty powerful. It'll be a pretty powerful shakeup, but I don't think it's going to be like fatal. But I think it's definitely going to scare him, and make him realize, I really should have taken care of those issues that I ignored for so long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he talks about it a lot, but he doesn't do anything about it. He thinks he can just do it himself.
Well, he can't, and he's going to learn the hard way. Just like we were talking about at the beginning of the show, that whole narrative, that's going to become him. So, again, it may seem too late, but just do it now. Like, every single little bit counts, especially when you consider that the universe itself is just alchemy based on our own actions. That if we know that he has this thing that's going to be coming up a little bit down the turnpike here, let's try to do a little bit of course correction, because if energy really does make a difference on the outcome of our manifestations in life, then any little bit that you would do right now is going to have a significant impact on the future and what's going to happen. Like, it'll just soften the blow that much more. So he may not think it's all that much, or he just says, I don't want to do that. Just force him to. Baby steps. Like, I forget the specific name of this philosophy, but I always strive to be 1% better than I was the day before. I live by that. It makes a huge difference in how I do things on a daily basis. So try doing something like that with him. Just force him to do it whether he likes it or not. Because I think that it may not prevent something from happening, but at the very least, it'll make it seem not as bad. And, my obviously advice to you is because we know that, like there's some potential health issues, that may be pretty serious. Obviously, keep stocked up on all of your emergency supplies, like your aspirin and all of that kind of stuff, just so that way you know where it is in case there really is an emergency, so you know how to handle it.
Mm-hmm. So, Ernesto, I live in California and he's in Oregon.
Okay.
So
Right.
do you see me traveling up there at the end of the month?
To travel. And the nature of the travel, is that like to see him, to visit, to take care of him, to work, to be together? Like, what's the
Well,
nature of that?
I would say, corresponding to what we're saying. If he has that problem on the 29th, is she going to go there?
Yeah. Let me see here. Okay, so if we do like that. Now, what is this one? No. There we go. So this would create a deep reaching change for you. Now we know that because if you were paying attention to my screen here, the rule book, what we're looking at, and this particular question is we're asking the question about you and travel. So what we're wanting to do is I'm going to add this in a different color just so it's a little bit more visible. We're looking at the midpoint of your Mercury Saturn, which is one of the midpoints that we use when it comes to like something like travel. So we look at this, and also you have Mars Uranus that shows up with your Saturn. So this is all right there on that same axis point. Now that midpoint comes to about your meridian. That's where this arrow was at right now. So we're taking a look at this here on the first ring and also on the second ring, which is also in that pink square. So if we look at this, then it comes to Admetos, Kronos, and then this Pluto. Then you've got another Pluto on the other side. Now, what that really means by definition when you break this all down is it's a big ass change, but it's only going to be for a select few amount of people. So, and you're definitely going to be one of them. So, like there's going to, I don't want to say that your life is going to be upheaved. That might be a little bit too extreme of a word, but it's gonna your life is gonna take a 180. Like the direction that you're in right now, it's not gonna be this way 12 months from now. I'll just tell you that right now. That's very plain and clear. That everything that's building up in your life right now, it's setting you up for a new chapter in life. And it's and and follow this, like you're going to go through and do all of these wonderful, amazing things, like much better than the quality of life you've had very recently. And the main thing is the fact that you just go with it. You don't fight it. Remember, when you fight an uphill battle, or you're swimming against the stream, it just becomes that much harder, and you get wiped out and exhausted. So, you're just going to go with it. And like I said, don't resist it. Don't fight it. This is all what you're supposed to be doing. But yeah, I do see that you are going to be traveling here. I think there'll probably be some like temporary travel that'll come first, just sort of like, hey, let me check on you for like the next month or so. And then let's talk about some more like long distance, stays where I'm going to be here for a little bit longer. And now let's transition into me living here permanently, or, in at least in this vicinity. But you are, Becky, you are absolutely going to be moving there pretty soon. And I don't know if that's either there with him or if that's a new place.
Yeah. I feel the heaviness of this change, and I feel the pull more than I ever have before. Mm-hmm. And so this all makes perfect sense, because these two dates have been running on my mind now for a good month. And I know something very drastic is going to happen. And as Beretta has said, I'm going to do the happy dance I've been waiting for this for 20 years. So it's very important to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is to both of us, for sure. So I appreciate that very much.
Sure. So, so this all makes sense then, like everything that we're talking about today.
Oh, yeah, very much.
Okay, great.
And I understand it very well.
Perfect. All right. That's always great to get that feedback and that that reinforcement of what we're doing, because we always talk with people on the air and we never really know if we're doing a good job or not. And if we're totally off base, it's great to know that in advance, so we can kind of course correct
and
it, do all this.
I didn't give you the whole scenario, but without giving you the whole scenario, you were right on.
Yeah, and remember, from working with Veretta that we don't do full scenarios. That we just do what we need to in the moment.
Yes, and I think Veretta, from you listening in and to your listeners as well, you guys are both very, very much on my track. And as Veretta says, I would do the happy dance. Oh, yeah, Veretta, that's an understatement, for sure.
Yeah. Well, my first comment was going to be something like, "I get your feet off the ceiling now and come down, because that's at the end of the month. You've got to walk in the real world until then." Just keep that in mind. And I'm not a patient person, Ernesto. So it's really, really hard, and we are going very. He's gone very quiet on me because I know things are stirring, but every time he tries to manifest what he needs to do, he then feels the stress of his illnesses. And he has a lot, but he was a police officer, so he's been injured and now he's retired, but he's always had heart issues, but he dwells on things very badly. And we're 7 days apart, so I don't know when he was born, but he's also an Aries, and he's born 7 days before me. So he manifests a lot of things in his mind, so it makes it really hard. So I try real hard. And as far as you saying, I'm going to be the take charge kind of person, he's actually already starting to listen to me, because he takes a lot of, medicines, and I'm more on the line of do things the natural way. So I have been telling him certain things to do, and he's actually finally starting to listen to me and has changed just a little bit of what he's been doing. So I appreciate what you've given me today. So thank you.
Sure. Yeah. So Becky, just one last piece of advice, and this has nothing at all to do with what we're talking about today. This is an aside that I think just like as an extra credit project you might benefit from. Go out there onto Amazon and look for the book The Tao of Pooh. It's a very basic book about, the Tao Te Ching and that whole philosophy in Chinese thought. It was a really important book that I read a long time ago that helped to define a lot of the way that I just go about doing day-to-day life. It's for people who, have difficulty or, accept, that everything is so fast-paced. Like for me, everybody is too slow and I am always in a rush. So if you get left behind in the dust, that's okay. I'm not going to look for you. And that's just how I am as a person. And I understand that everything is always too slow. So, like the whole Taoism thought, what I really liked about that was it helps to, kind of shift the way that you perceive the world and actions, especially time. And, like when it comes to that unsettling feeling of, I know something is coming. I don't know what it is, and I don't know when it's going to be, but I just know that it's coming, and you're so fixated on that. That type of Eastern thought really helps to break up a lot of that tension. So I feel like that, this is like some knowledge, since you're sort of stuck in a waiting game right now, like between now and the end of the year, we'll say this is a waiting game, like before you get set up into the next chapter of life, there's a lot of really serious big transition that's happening right now. And a lot of that may be very difficult to process, and you may not even know where to even turn. So, just being able to make peace with the moment and your own thoughts, that type of activity you're really going to benefit from. And, like if we're looking at your chart, even that we take a look at like this Poseidon on your natal ring comes all the way over to this Uranus with this Mars and this and the Saturn. So like on one end of that, like Mars, Saturn, Uranus, that can be things, like surgeries, that could be things like vacations, taking leave. But because we have the Poseidon in there with it, then that planet brings in like this big spiritual quality of enlightenment, like we're higher thought, higher knowing. We're really wanting to call into a lot of those energies when it comes to things like your actions, Mars, your responsibilities, Saturn, and your destiny, which is Uranus. So, like so for you, Becky, as a person, like one of the things that you would most benefit from in all of this, chaos and turmoil that's going on is, just find peace in your mind. This seems really generic. Like I could tell this to literally any person off of the street, but when it comes to you, especially with this transition, like that's going to be your best friend is, just finding out how to get in there and say, okay, so I'm going to flip the switch and I'm just going to stop thinking about this. I'm going to play music. I'm going to do some cooking. I'm going to knit whatever I want to do just to not think about this.
And it's so hard. Oh my God. And Bretta, you can relate to that because literally I'm a cat on the ceiling. I am such a cat on the ceiling.
Yes, a book on Taoism would be perfect.
Makes perfect sense. I'm looking at I'm on Amazon now, and the first book that comes up, it has poo on it. Does it have a poo on the front of the cover?
It does, yes. Right. It's by Benjamin Hoff.
Oh yeah, it's the first book.
Yep.
All right, I'll get that book.
It is a truly life-changing book. I totally recommend it.
Okay.
So it's a relatively easy read. Like I read it when I was in high school, so it's not really like you need a college degree to make sense of anything. So I also really appreciate it for that.
Well, I just placed my order, so thank you.
Perfect. Yeah.
I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'm willing to do whatever it takes because I know this month is. I'm happy. I'm nervous, but I'm really, really excited. And I've been saying this for a while. I'm excited for this next chapter because if you look back over the last, for 3 years, it's been pretty tough. And now I'm set free, and this is happening for a reason. So I'm real excited.
And when
I just want to get there.
When he has that medical event, then that's going to be when the snowball gets rolling, and you got to put yourself into high gear and get ready to start moving because it's gonna come fast for you once it hits.
Well, I think I work very well under pressure. I'm just fearful of the others that are behind him and what they may do to me, if that makes sense. Berta, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but don't worry about that. Don't bring it here. It's not here.
Yeah, that goes back to what I said at the beginning of the call. Ignore those other people, those sources. Like they have nothing at all to do with you. You are your own entity, and like you've got some level of services or powers, or let's just say even knowledge that these other people don't have. Like you can connect to this guy in a way that nobody else can. So I mean, like this is where you really have a unique edge in the market that you have to just tell people. So I hear what you're saying, but I'm not listening to it because like I know what's best here, and truly you do it, and they don't. So just all of the trolls, all of that whole activity, just ignore it. It'll fall off by the wayside eventually.
It'll fall off. So I want to ask you one more question.
Sure.
And I have asked it in the past, but because I'm new to you, Ernesto, I would love to ask you this.
Okay.
Sean and I have been joined by this, and this is the envision I have, this long umbilical cord that can never be severed. I think we've had past lives together. And I think moving forward till death do us part will be the inevitable, which is fantastic. But we grew up together. We went to high school together. We were friends, and then we broke off. We both got married, blah, 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 had one child each, and then came right back like two friends that never stopped seeing each other. And is that true in what you may see that we were joined in a past life or several past lives? I'm curious to see what you may say.
I'd have to have his birth data to really break that down. And that's
I
that.
don't know what time he was. Yeah, that's probably a whole nother thing, and you've got other callers, and that's okay. Maybe I can do that at another time, but I'd be curious about that.
Yeah, so I'm just taking a look, like if let's just do like a really quick karma reading here for you. Let's see what we can find from that. That can usually tell us a lot of information. So if we look at Admetos 80s, which would be the midpoint of karma, that's something that we look at in Uranian astrology. We see that you've got all of the stuff that's on that sort here. Let me just double check something. Great.
Wow.
Yeah, so all of these midpoints, these are all having to do with your karma. So, and every single combination of planets refers to something specific. Now, so you have a shared destiny with somebody, that's for sure. So ascendant moon, what we're looking at right now. Let me just draw a line so everybody can see that. This moon ascendant right here, that is that definition is a shared destiny. So I would almost bet you, like my next paycheck, which isn't a lot. So, because I'm self-employed, don't forget, that when it comes to this kind of thing, if I had his birth data and his time and everything pulled up, I would almost guarantee you that he's going to have that moon ascendant in your chart in the same spot. So you two would both have a shared destiny with each other. Like Veretta and I have moon ascendant together. Like we have a shared destiny together. So and a lot of that relates to the show. So that's why we're doing this. Now in his chart, you'd have to see what planets, kind of correlate and are true for both of you. But that's always really significant whenever you see that in terms of karma or in terms of relationship readings is a shared destiny. Like you want to know who these other people are, and whenever you bring somebody else into your life, if that's a friend, a coworker, or otherwise, like you really want to take a look at their chart too, because if let's say a boss at work has moon ascendant with you, then that means that you guys are both meant to work on something together. And that could just be very simply the job that you have, the environment that you work together in, but it could also be like some other larger endeavor. So, like always evaluate that midpoint in particular, because that can tell you like what connects you. Like Veretta and I do the show, and like we're not really close otherwise, except for the fact that we do the show and we've known each other for a long time. And it's terrific. It's really great. I love doing this. So I'm really glad that we figured that out. Now for you, Becky, looking at this, something else having to do with your karma. So we look at like right below this moon ascendant, you've got ascendant Mercury, ascendant Mars, ascendant Saturn, ascendant Uranus. So the ascendant has to deal with like your public persona, and so this is going to be sort of like not necessarily your ego, but it's more like your personality traits, sort of like what we experience out in the world. So Mercury, Mars, Saturn, Uranus. So this is going to have to deal with, conversations about work relationships, conversations about relationships with a man. And this could also have to do with, like destiny with a man. So, you've got a special friend, we'll say, from what we can tell here in your chart, that there's a special friend that that you make a connection with, and that probably has something to do with that shared destiny piece that we were just now talking about. So that would be another thing. Again, I'd have to look at his chart specifically to get all of this information, but from what I can tell in yours, one of the other big things that you came here to do was when it comes to karma, Mercury, Neptune. So this has to deal with depressed thoughts. This also can deal with confusion, and communication, like people who do not speak clearly, people who don't, tell you the full picture, and then they're disappointed and upset because you screwed them over or didn't give them what they really wanted. And that's just because they didn't give you what they needed to. And so that's another big thing for you when it comes to karma, is taking the confusion out of your life, especially when it comes to communicating or talking to people. So, just being clear, like striving for clarity on a daily basis. If that's not already a major goal for you, make it one. Like that'll really improve the quality of life if you can just get some clarity.
Actually, I think in the last 6 to 8 months, it's kind of been that way, because those people that don't give clarity are not part of me really anymore.
Okay, yeah. So like
I don't have time
eradicate
for
that.
that. Sure.
Sure. Yeah. So just
Yes.
drop all of that and make it go away. Now, I do have a question. At any point in your life, did you ever move long distance for a job?
No.
Okay.
I'm self-employed as well. No.
Okay, so then that's coming. So then that's what that is. So another thing about your karma is Mars Apollon. So that's going to have to do with like a work trip of or like work that's far away. So like when we talk about out of state things that are not local, then that's Apollon is the energy or the planet that we would call on there. So like so to move for work, that would have to do with like if this guy gets sick or he needs some help, and then you have to do a cross country move or like move out of state to be with him or wherever that's going to be, that would be another piece of your karma here, is that like you're gonna make that trek whenever that may be. That's a separate inquiry, but we know that here from your karma also that that this is a big thing for you in terms of
Wow,
your life's journey.
That's
Well, but
that's huge
also-
for me.
She's a travel agent as well.
Okay.
Hmm.
Would that
Well,
qualify
remember,
for
though,
treatment?
yes, because I had said that I would keep business here and travel wherever, and business would. So I think that's one and the same, isn't it, Ernesto? Because I talked about leaving business here and moving on, but having business from
Right.
afar.
Right. So like you would have so like your HQ is in location A, but you're living in location B. Yeah, absolutely.
Correct.
That's definitely something that's going to happen. So, and that's another big piece of this whole karma thing for you, is that, like the whole travel and, like living in two places. Your life is really going to get a lot better from what I can see here. Like, so because
can't
so.
wait.
So, for example, like like the karma piece, or that when we were talking about moving just now, that's something you have not experienced yet, to move a long distance for a job. So, but you
No.
will. So that means that the stuff we have not seen that's manifested in your life in this listing, that this is all stuff to come. So that's all the positive things. And I think I don't have this guy's chart information here, but I would venture to say that if I had it, a lot of this is probably going to coincide with his stuff too. So, like Becky, what I really believe, in all of this is, like we've kind of gone through everything for you. And I think you have a really great overall overview of sort of where everything is going. My only last piece of advice to you is, whatever you do in your life, just be damn good at it. Like don't do anything half-assed, or don't do it just because somebody else is asking you to. Like give it your all, and like I always say here on the show, go pro or go home. And if you live by those words, go pro or go home, and I am a dragon for clarity and truth, then you'll be really pleased with the way that life goes. And I do think that some good things are coming, so we'll have to talk about that later. But I'm really excited for you for the way that things are going, and I know that.
And I think
Mhm.
I think Loretta will, because she knows me so well. I'm doing the happy dance, because everything that I have talked about, and I write about it now. I want to manifest it in my life, is all coming true. So this is all falling into line, and it makes perfect sense. So to know that you don't know me, and that you have brought it right into my face, it excites me to no end. You have no idea. So I thank you. So, and I may reach out to you privately and get a longer one and find out what time he's born, because I only know his date, because we're born the same year as well. I would love to see how our charts line up, because I already know they do.
If you want to do it, like some karma work, we could definitely look into that for you. But see, this is what I say here, Becky, about on the show, that Uranian Astrology, this really is the Akashic Records. That what we're looking at here is past, present, and future. So this is your chart, this is your life, and if we look at everything, I'll even put some markings here so it's a little bit more clear. So like the stuff that's happening in the third ring of information, we'll call this F for future. And then the stuff that's happening in the second ring, this is going to be P for present. And then well, actually, we'll call it PR for present, and then we'll call the first ring PA for past. So this is it's past, present, and future. That's the Akashic records by virtue of definition. So it's all of the planets at the time of your birth. We advance the entire first chart by 1 degree per year if you were born on the summer solstice. So everything is now in the exact same symmetrical distance to each other as what it is in the first chart. Then we take the third chart of what's happening out in the sky, see where those planetary energies, may coincide and relate to each other symmetrically. That's when we can tell stuff happens. So when we have your whole history of past, present, and future, like this is what you came into this life with. These are the skills that you have. This is the premise of your chart. Here's where you're headed based on your own maturity of the soul as you age 1 day per year on the earth. Like these are the lessons and the themes that you're dealing with. And then also the future. These are the themes or the trends that are affecting every single person on the planet right now. And you may be affected too, in some ways more than others. But like these are going to be the key stories that'll light up in your life. So we can use something like Uranian astrology to read a chart and throw away the notions of houses and signs. And it's really quite amazing everything that we can find out about a person. Like I can find a level of detail and through reading charts that Veretta can only get if she's like in an extreme trance mode for like several hours.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah, it was great to have you on the show.
Amazing.
Check him out on eastrologer.net.
Mm-hmm. Yes, for all other things Uranian astrology, be sure to check out eastrologer.net. That is my website.
Yep, I'm on there.
Perfect.
So, thank you.
No, it was great
to
talk
you
to
both
you.
have a great day. Thank you
too.
so
We'll
much.
catch up with you soon. Let us know how it turns out. Take care. Good. Until later.
Okay.
Okay, then. So we are going to get off to caller from area code 201. We have Jackie on the line. Hey, are you there with me? Jackie, can you hear me? Hello? Hello, Jackie? Okay, she must have stepped away.
Jackie.
Hello? No, okay. Okay, just a moment then. Then let's take our next caller, who is going to be Kayla from area code 570. Got your chart up? Kayla, are you there on the line with me? Can you hear me?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good, good. I was just calling in for a general today.
Okay, all right. Now, I gave you a general recently, so you get the same general every 3 to 6 months. Do you have a specific question that I could take a look into for you?
How about let's look at health wise.
Health. Perfect. All right, let's take a look, Veretta.
All right. Let's see what's going on with you, Rob. Well, it feels like it's not one thing. It's not just a one something that's happening. However, I think there's a couple, just one or two really major contributor players to whatever's helping you define where your health is concerned. I'm going to go probably toward lungs and heart. Heart specifically because it has taken hits. I think genetically you're predisposed to heart, and the heart has taken hits from something. And then lungs is a byproduct from something else. So I'm not sure. It doesn't feel like you're predisposed to lung issues, but it feels like your health is, as far as your lungs are concerned, you are, I don't know, you're either exposed to bad chemicals, you smoke, you've had long-term exposure to pesticides, mold kind of issues. But I don't know, it feels to me like they kind of tie hand in hand, but a lot of what you're experiencing, what you feel is your heart and the lack of circulation, the dizziness, the foggy head, the tired fatigue, the heaviness in the feeling of heaviness in your body. Yes, that will get better. that will get better, but I don't know. It feels to me like there may be a real harsh treatment, a drastic measure, some type of real total change that you need to accept has to happen before you can get well. It's not, you can't
Okay.
do both. You can't do both. So, and Ernesto may be able to give you a much better breakdown on where and what exactly is happening, and where you're at, where your health is concerned. But a lot of your malice, depression, like I said, fatigue, the heaviness in the body, all that's your heart, sweetheart.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was leaning towards. That's what I thought.
Okay, all right. Well, Ernesto, what can you give her?
Sure. Kayla, do you have a blood disorder?
Not that I'm aware of.
Have you had your blood tested recently for any type of disorder like anemia or what do they call that? Leukemia? Any of those blood related diseases or illnesses? That's something that I would look into. And the reason I say that is we're looking here at the midpoint of your sun Pluto, which is going to have to do with like an overall general outlook on your health. So when we look at that green dot here on the screen, that's at the midpoint of Sun Neptune. So if we switch gears for a second and we go into our rule book to see what Sun Neptune is referring to, in this particular case, this is going to be relaxation, lack of energy, sickness, debility, decay, susceptible to infection and illness. So, like on one end of it, you can be extremely psychic because this is Sun Neptune is going to refer to like spirituality. So, you're on one end, you're going to have that experience that things are really nice and like you're really psychically in tune with everything. And that's great. On the other end, it's just sort of like, why do I feel so crappy all the time? Well, it's because
Yeah, that's how I feel.
lingering maladies, a body enfeebled by disease, blood diseases, poor states of health, losses through deceit or weakness. So, if we take a look here in Planets and Transneptunians, which is Ruth Brumman's guide, that gives us more of the physical manifestations of what's happening with you. Like this would make me tend to think that because you've got Saturn that shows up here on this pointer down there, that that we're going to use the definition of what Saturn refers to, and that's going to have to deal with like bones. That's going to have to deal with teeth. So like, are how is your dental health right now? Is that something that you're looking at?
Horrible, horrible. It's really bad.
Yeah, like I think that could also be another big source of the illness or the health issues that you're wanting to take a look into, is that like you've got some like dental stuff that really needs to be looked at. And that's
Yeah,
like,
I have a gum disease.
okay.
So
And is there some infection that's coming along with that?
yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so refer back to the heart thing. Kayla, if you have a gum disease, just side note, heart disease or gum disease and heart infection go hand in hand.
Right, and heart disease also runs in my family too. So
Okay, so you really need to skedaddle your butt to the doctor, like Ernesto said, and get a blood draw, at least get a blood draw done.
okay.
Yeah, like there's some pretty
Definitely.
serious stuff that's going on here, and I would imagine that if you get a proper panel of labs done, they're gonna find all kinds of stuff that you didn't even know about, and it's probably gonna be a lot of red flags, like, oh my God, how am I gonna deal with this? Like I don't have the resources or the energy or even the time to be able to deal with these types of expenses and medications and doctors and everything else. But you'll have to have some conversations with yourself about what really needs to be assessed. But this would speak to me something like, like you've got a gum infection or a disease or something, and then this leads to some other types of problems, some comorbidity, we'll say, that like that this infection then triggered like a heart attack, and then like or whatever, a stroke, something else. But I could see like you having some problems because like of another health issue that wasn't addressed. So like that thing about getting the labs drawn, really look into that, and the teeth and bones especially, like really take care of that. Like that should be number one priority. I think that's probably going to be the most important piece of the puzzle when it comes to like the cardiovascular health. And you'll be able to
Okay.
get some more information with that. But I would absolutely go to your dental school and start to get those things looked at, and then follow up with your family care doctor to get some labs done, because I do think that like if it's not cardiovascular, then you've got some kind of blood issue going on here that really needs to be looked at, and
Mhm.
that's the key source of why you feel so crappy all the time. But like if we're gonna go with that I just feel awful all the time, remember the opposite side of that is I am stupidly spiritual and psychic and I can't turn it off. So like you kind of got to choose which side of the coin you want to stand on.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so
Makes a lot of sense.
does that cover everything, or did you have was there something else?
Nope, that was everything.
Okay, perfect. Well,
All
it was
right.
great to have you on the show, Kayla. Let us know how it turns out. We'll catch up with you soon.
Thanks for taking my call. Have a
Yep.
good day.
Until next time, you too. Bye. Okay, so we are going to get off to Jackie again. Let's try you here, Jackie. Are you there on the line with me? Can you hear me now? Hello, Jackie. Okay, she must have stepped away. We'll be back. Next caller, area code 917, Ashil. I Stu, you're on the line. Are you there with me? Ashil, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Are you there?
Yeah, I am.
Perfect. Ashil,
I just had to. Yep. Yeah, go ahead.
now, did you have a question for me? Because I know we read you recently. What did you want to get into today?
I just had a birthday on the second, so I'm just want to see, since it's kind of new year for me. So
Oh.
if you have a message for me, I will appreciate it.
Okay, sure. All right, go ahead. Veretta, do you have anything?
So, and this was in regards to just for a new year.
Yeah, I mean, I just had my birthday on August 2nd, so whatever message I can get from this, it's the new year for me, so to speak.
It's okay. It's in the year. That's what I thought I heard. The background noise is a little hard for me to interpret what you're hearing, so I wasn't sure I heard you correctly. One of the things I think you will find yourself doing this year, for whatever reason, you're juggling or you're having a lot of things to multitask simultaneously, and I feel like that will it'll bring you joy. It'll bring you a lot of confidence. I feel like it will give you the sense of progression where you're really moving forward on making things happen. And I want to say in advance that you're proud of your accomplishments. And this isn't ego so much talking as it is you recognizing the labor of work that was done, hard work, good effort. So it feels to me like when I'm looking into your year to come and feeling it emotionally, I'm sensing that you're going to have a nice, supportive, happy year. And that to me suggests you're not alone by any means. So the girlfriend part really appears to be hanging in there strong, and it comes back even stronger a little longer down the road. So it just keeps getting better throughout the year. Ernesto, can you give him something more on that?
Yeah, I'm taking a look here, Sheila, at your chart right now and like something that I'm sort of wondering about is, like this, your chart is starting to make me wonder if, are there concerns? Is there writing on the wall that perhaps, like your job might be going away pretty soon?
Concerned about my work in terms of, I used to work for myself. So, and I just put my business on the hold, and I was trying to get a job, but I haven't gotten one. So I don't know what direction I'm going to go yet. Maybe that's the concern.
Okay, because I see that this is the window of opportunity for you to get a job. And like this week actually is a really great week for you to get a job. So go out there and start applying for some work. If that's something that you're still interested in, this is the time to do it. If you wait too long, like by next month, that opportunity is going to pass. So that's going to create some other difficulties for you. Now, other question is, do you have like a romantic partner or a spouse or somebody like that you're living with right now?
No, I'm single. I'm looking, but I have someone from my past that wanted to come back into my life, but I'm not interested. I just want to start over new.
Yeah, because I get the sense that you've got some new friendships that are coming into your life, and it's not it may be romantic, but I think it's more platonic than anything else. That like I just have somebody that I can call up and go out to dinner with, to go to the movies, to do something fun with, not to expect anything or like that there is that there's anything physical. It's just the fact that I have somebody to be with. And I do think that that is coming for you, and this is going to be a major theme and a challenge for you over the next year. Is that you're going to have this experience where you're not really too sure if you want these people in your life because you're just kind of happy with the way things are right now. Like you're single, you're doing your own thing, you're self-employed. That's great. Like you don't want to bring in all of this extra, turmoil and difficulty into your life. So, I feel like that you getting into a relationship would be difficult. But you to have friends, that's just the right thing. That's just what the doctor ordered. And, like the job thing, I think that that's also going to be a big thing that'll be highlighted for you. Like definitely by let me just say this. If you do not find a job by the end of this year, then in 2023, 100% follow the self-employment route. Go back to that. So just
Okay,
remember that if you don't find anything this year, then just go back to doing your own thing because that opportunity's passed. But I do think that you are going to have some conversations about some job responsibilities and new work duties here. So definitely get out there and start putting out for these new jobs because I think that the opportunity is now. So just get out there.
sounds good. I appreciate it.
For sure. All right. Sheila, is there anything else that we can do to help you today or for this year ahead?
No, that's it. As I said, you say I have new friends coming. As I said earlier, that I was just want to start new. I didn't want anything from the past. I bring new people, new friends, new job, new relationship. I just feel that's where I feel right now. So I'm just going to be optimistic about it and, just keep on moving.
Yep, and also remember that you may do your job may involve a little bit of travel too. So like you might have to use public transit for a little bit of time, like a half hour or something to get to your new job. But there may be some travel involved if it's even if it's out of state or out of state or out of the city limits. Like even look into those types of positions as well. Like I think that traveling for work that could work for you. That's got some nice potential there. So don't limit your job search to be so only to local.
Sounds good. I appreciate it.
Perfect. Yeah, Sheila, thanks for calling in and happy birthday, by the way. Let us know how it turns out
Thank you.
and we'll catch up with you soon.
I will. Thank you so much.
Yep. Until next time.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so we are going to get off to Jackie here. Jackie, are you there with us? Can you hear me? Hello, Jackie? Okay, then. All right. So, Beretta, I guess we have cleared through the queue for today, unless if Jackie spontaneously comes back to life here in the next few seconds. But
Oh,
otherwise,
okay.
what we're talking about now is that our weekday shows, we're going to be changing those up for right now, just due to some other commitments. So we will be back with you guys Saturday afternoon, at 3 p.m. for an hour. We're going to be doing Saturdays, from 3 to 4 for an hour for a while, and we'll still keep up with you on our Sunday morning programs at 9:30. So our next time with you guys will be on the 13th here. That'll be at 3 p.m. for an hour's show. And as always, it was great to have everybody here today. And Veretta, thank you so much for joining me. For all other things Uranian Astrology, be sure to check out eastrologer.net, and you can check out Veretta at verettavision.com.
Thank you so much for another great show and opportunity to share all the fun we have.
Yeah, it's always great. It's always been real. It's always a pleasure. I love doing this. So, I look so forward to being with you guys on Saturday. And thank you, Uretta, for joining me today. I will catch up with you all soon. Take care, everybody,
Okay.
and until next time.
Thank you for using blog